Good evening and welcome to Source 16 News at 10. Thanks for joining us. Well, we now have more information on a story we brought you at 6. A former Fort Campbell soldier will be spending the next 2 decades in prison after a jury today found him guilty of murder and other offenses in a fatal wreck that claimed the life of a Hopkinsville woman last year. Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Whitney Westerfield tells Source 16 that the jury sentenced Ryan Christoph to 20 years on the murder charge and 2.5 years on first-degree wanton endangerment, with the 2 felony sentences to run concurrently. During closing arguments, Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Westerfield asked the jury to find Ryan Christoph guilty of second-degree manslaughter, first-degree wanton endangerment, DUI, and other offenses.
No insurance. Would a reasonable person go out there and not only drive more than twice the speed limit around a curve at night, cross the center line by 1.8 feet, and be intoxicated and do all that without keeping insurance up to date? And finally, never hit the brake pedal, not once. Slow reaction time, perhaps. That same report that tells you how fast he was going shows you he never once attempted to slow. He was cruising. Mr. Christoph act normally? Yes, he absolutely did.
On January 13th of last year, police say Christoph was driving west on Canton Pike at 86 miles per hour in a 40-mile-per-hour speed zone when he crashed his vehicle head-on into a car driven by 73-year-old Norma Cook of Hopkinsville. Cook and her husband, 78-year-old Jack Cook, were transported to Jenny Stewart Medical Center where she was pronounced dead. Westerfield also says the jury did not deliberate on a sentence for the other misdemeanors and violations Christoph was facing. He says the Commonwealth and the defense stipulated to the maximum penalties on those charges. As a matter of law, Westerfield notes those offenses are run concurrently to any felony sentence and would not have added any additional time. Formal sentencing is scheduled for July 13th. Multiple pretrial motions were made in Callaway Circuit Court yesterday in the murder case of a Murray couple. Court records indicate Commonwealth Attorney Mark Blankenship requested 3 motions to be considered for the upcoming murder trial of 33-year-old Jason Workman and his wife, 23-year-old Kayla. Assistant Commonwealth Attorney Cyrus Hadfield petitioned for the following: the name of an expert expected to testify for the defense from Wesley Boyarsky, an attorney with the Kentucky Department of Public Advocacy's Murray office. The court to limit the terms in which the victim is referred to during the trial, and for the prosecution to be referred to as, quote, the state or the Commonwealth and not government by Boyarsky. The first 2 requests were reportedly granted, but Judge Dennis Faust may review how scandal will be mentioned during trial, and the 3rd request was denied. The couple is charged with murder after Kentucky State Police found the body of Herbert Scandal of Callaway County inside a car that was driven into a creek bed following a wreck in Murray before Christmas 2009. Their murder trial is scheduled to take place June 7th and 8th in Callaway County Circuit Court. In other news, a Hopkinsville woman says she's been living a nightmare for the past 3 weeks due to recent flooding. Here is Marie Fainter with more.
A Hopkinsville woman says she is thankful for the small things in life after her family went without hot water for several weeks due to recent flooding.
That 3 weeks was pretty hard on us personally. We had to go to friends and family to take showers, and we had to eat out because there's no hot water for the kitchen, of course.
Martins says her family is still recovering from recent floods that caused manholes near her home to overflow and raw sewage to spill out onto her Roney Drive residence.
All of our manhole covers from here all the way up to Henderson and around Roney Drive also, they were all bubbling, just spewing out this nasty stuff.
Besides having raw sewage on her property for nearly a month, Martins says she's also worried about her family's health.
If we don't get the water out from under our house, then we have mold and mildew to fight, and that could be a very serious health issue.
According to Martins, the ordeal has caused a strain in her family.
You never know how much you miss hot water until you don't have hot water, and the luxury of going into your bathroom and running a hot shower or hot bath. And so it's just really, really been hard. and then we've had a lot of sleepless nights.
She says it's always hard for her to sleep at night knowing it's going to rain.
It's hard to settle down when you see the water rolling down your street like a river. And it's getting closer and closer to coming inside, so it's really scary.
As of late last week, city workers were seen in the area conducting surveys on the street. But Martins remains skeptical that the flooding issue in her neighborhood is resolved. Marie Fainter, Source 16 News.
Meanwhile, 3rd District State Senator Joy Pendleton's wife, Diane Wood, told Source 16 today another Hopkinsville neighborhood is also being affected by sewage problems.
Okay, I live at 905 Hurst Drive, which is part of Oakhurst subdivision, and we adjoin Dawn Drive, is at the back of our subdivision. There's a lift station actually between Hurst and Dawn that serves that area, and ever since the recent flooding, I've been concerned about the raw sewage that's been flowing out of the manholes in that area and flowing into a sinkhole. And of course that flows into the Little River, which is nearby.
According to Wood, sewage overflowing onto the streets and into a sinkhole are a continuous problem for the area.
The pump's not sufficient to handle the sewage in the area. And the pump actually went out and was out, well, it's been out for I guess 3 weeks now or longer. They brought in a temporary pump and had trouble with getting it to cycle properly. And it had been running 24/7 for a couple of weeks.
She says a representative from the Kentucky Division of Water told her Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority is aware of the situation and will fix the problem. Christian County Fiscal Court today approved its first reading of the county's $24.7 million budget for the upcoming fiscal year.
This budget includes a mandated increase in the retirement contributions for employees of 2.03%. That equates to about $62,000 additional this year. Our funds, we fund our budget primarily through property taxes. In other words, we don't utilize other taxes such as an occupational tax or insurance tax, which are available, but we don't have those taxes in this county. This budget does include reductions in each of our 7 funds. Total budget reduction from the prior year is 3.61% for the total budget, or that equates to $926,216. So almost $1 million lower budget this year than the previous year.
In other action, Fiscal Court also approved a $280,000 agreement between the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and Christian County to repair various county roads. Magistrates also approved a municipal aid cooperative contract worth over $35,000 and a payment worth over $15,000 to go towards the Alhambra Theater's HVAC project. During citizen comments, Mac McCord of Herndon asked Fiscal Court to help keep the Lafayette Post Office open.
My address is a Herndon address. There's so many people that has a Herndon address, but Lafayette is their post office. And I don't know whether it's fix something that ain't even broke is what it sounds like they're trying to do to us down there. And they've already cut the hours back at the post office. It's open 4 hours a day now. Lafayette still has a mayor and 4 councilmen/women to govern that city. So, in Herndon's a 4-way stop sign. I'm not trying to take anything away from Herndon. It's a 4-way stop sign. But there's no talk about closing Herndon's post office down.
The next fiscal court meeting is scheduled for the morning of June 14th at 8:30. Well, the city of Mayfield will host a reception tomorrow to honor the former public safety assistant who recently announced she is resigning. Mayor Teresa Cantrell says Tony Ramage will be honored after having worked for years as a dispatcher and serving the past few years as administrative assistant for public safety. The mayor says Ramage has worked for the city for about 16 years and is now making a career change entering the nursing field. The public is invited to the reception that will be held from 10 to noon in the foyer of City Hall. Last week, Mayor Cantrell announced that Eva Rodriguez has been hired as the new public safety assistant. The Christian County Board of Health last night approved the fiscal year 2012 budget of over $4.2 million that includes eliminating 9 positions at the health department. Public Health Director Mark Pyle told Source16 that the cuts include about $400,000 in operational expenses. At this time, he says the decision of what positions will be cut has not been made. The Board of Health also approved the local taxing district rate of 1.8 cents per $100 assessed property value, which is the lowest rate that the health departments can assess by state statute. In addition, the board members approved the use of over $322,000 of additional taxing district reserve funds to fund the mutual assistance agreement with St. Luke's Free Clinic, to balance budgeted operational expenses, and to fund strategic planning priorities. The strategic planning priorities as established in the CCHD strategic plan include chronic disease prevention and control, cancer prevention, access to primary health care and oral health, ensure a healthy start for children ages 0 to 5, and encourage healthy lifestyles for children ages 6 to 18. The board also approved the use of $120,000 of state unrestricted reserve funds for capital expenditures that includes a feasibility study for the addition of a new building, space, or renovations to existing space. 2 Louisville residents and a juvenile were arrested yesterday in Fulton County for allegedly stealing a vehicle and custodial interference. Fulton police charged 26-year-old James and 24-year-old Heather Summermeyer and a juvenile with theft by unlawful taking automobile. The couple were also charged with custodial interference. Fulton police report that the couple were arrested as a result of their involvement in the stolen vehicle from Louisville and the runaway juvenile, also from Louisville. The 2 adults were lodged in the Fulton County Detention Center, and the juvenile was transported to the McCracken County Juvenile Facility.